evening, everyone. I'm Jerika Duncan in for Tony DeCopel. Here's what's ahead on this Memorial Day. Deal or no deal? After a weekend of intense diplomacy, President Trump insists he's in no rush to reach a peace agreement with Iran. What's being discussed and why some prominent Republicans are skeptical. Also tonight, more than 50,000 people still out of their homes in Southern California. What officials are saying about the risk of an explosion from that cracked chemical tank. New details about the gunman who opened fire near the White House on Saturday and the renewed calls for that billion-dollar White House ballroom. Millions of Americans heading home from the holiday weekend, paying sky-high gas prices, plus the storm threat for many returning to work tomorrow.
Artificial intelligence needs to be disarmed.
Pope Leo's new warning about artificial intelligence and concerns about killer robots and other AI-powered weapons on the battlefield. Soccer superstar Lionel Messi clutching his leg in pain just weeks before the World Cup tournament. Will he be able to play? And honoring the fallen on this Memorial Day, those who sacrificed their lives for America's freedoms.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Memorial Day. Marathon peace talks between the United States and Iran appear to have no clear finish line. Over the weekend, President Trump signaled an agreement could be close. Well, tonight, that appears even less certain. The president announced today a new diplomatic demand calling on Saudi Arabia and 5 other Muslim-majority countries to join the Abraham Accords, normalizing relations with Israel as part of a possible peace deal with Iran. Our Nicole Killian has been following the latest developments tonight and leads us off from the White House. Nicole.
Good evening to you, Jerika. President Trump says there could be a great deal or no deal at all. But one thing is clear. Despite a lot of anticipation over the holiday weekend, neither side seems to be in a rush right now to get one done.
On this Memorial Day, President Trump paid tribute to the 13 service members killed in Operation Epic Fury as part of the war with Iran.
These incredible men and women gave their lives to ensure that the world's #1 state sponsor of terror will never have a nuclear weapon. Oh, and they won't. They will never have a nuclear weapon. I'm sure you know that.
As the U.S. and Iran look for a way out of the nearly 3-month conflict, sources tell CBS News a tentative agreement would require Iran to immediately reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and the U.S. would then lift its naval blockade. Tehran would also commit to disposing its stockpile of enriched uranium in exchange for potential sanctions relief, but negotiations over its nuclear program would occur at a later stage. Today, the Iranians said no deal is imminent. U.S. officials said sign-off from the Supreme Leader could take days. CBS News has learned he's holed up at an undisclosed location and must rely on a system of couriers to get information in and out.
What this agreement will do is take us back really to the pre-war status quo.
Democrats and even some of Trump's GOP allies remain skeptical of a potential deal, with his former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo calling it not remotely America first. The president hit back, calling them losers.
Any agreement with Iran that isn't subject to ratification by Congress is I think, going to be doomed to fail.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio said a solid proposal is on the table.
And the president's not going to make a bad agreement. So let's see what happens.
Secretary Rubio said the U.S. could explore other alternatives if talks with Iran break down. Tonight, the president is laying out additional terms for a deal, saying that Iran must turn over its enriched uranium to the U.S., destroy it on site, or at an acceptable location. Jerika?
Nicole Killian at the White House. Israel has largely been watching the talks between the U.S. and Iran from the sidelines. So where do Israel's leaders stand on a possible peace agreement? Senior foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tayeb reports tonight from Tel Aviv.
Jarika, good evening. Well, sources close to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have said Israel is not in the position to influence President Trump's decision-making on Iran as he negotiates an agreement with the support of several Muslim and Arab states. Though the war began with joint U.S. and Israeli strikes, we've also been told officials in Israel have largely been left out of the talks. Now, earlier we spoke to Dennis Citrinowicz, the former head of the Iran branch of Israel's military intelligence, who had this to say.
Netanyahu is working very hard behind the scene to prevent a deal, but if Trump will decide to reach a deal, this is it. This war actually exposed the fact that we are highly dependent on U.S. in any future attack against Iran.
Now, further complicating matters is Lebanon, where despite a ceasefire, Israel has been carrying out a series of strikes, including today. Now, Tehran insists Israel's war with its proxy Hezbollah, which has seen at least 3,100 people killed, including 210 children, must end as part of any deal. But in a post online, Prime Minister Netanyahu said President Trump has, quote, reaffirmed Israel's right to defend itself against threats on every front, including Lebanon. Jarika.
MTS tie-up force in Tel Aviv, thank you. Now to what has been a tense situation in Southern California over the last 48 hours. A crack discovered in an overheated chemical tank forcing more than 50,000 people from their homes surrounding Garden Grove, a short distance from Disneyland. Officials said today there's no longer a risk of a massive explosion, but other dangers remain. Our Jonathan Vigliotti is at the scene.
After 4 days of fear, today relief.
We are happy to report that the threat of a BLEVE is now off the table.
The risk of a BLEVE, a catastrophic explosion of toxic chemicals, had hung over residents of 6 Orange County cities since Thursday, when firefighters responded to GKN Aerospace, a large facility manufacturing jet engine parts. On the property, a storage tank filled with methyl methacrylate began heating up, raising fears pressure could trigger rupture and send a toxic plume into the air. The chemical can cause respiratory distress and skin irritation for nearby residents.
The main worry for me is the aftermath.
More than 50,000 people are still under mandatory evacuation, many crowding emergency shelters as firefighters spent days cooling the tank. Overnight, crews carried out a risky mission to inspect the damaged container, discovering a crack had actually released built-up pressure and heat.
The temperature has been stabilized and actually reducing.
But concerns of a smaller explosion or fire remain, which may mean not everyone can return home just yet. Outside a food truck feeding evacuees, we met Jacqueline Riegos and her dog Jericho.
Catastrophe is being averted.
They had been sleeping in her car since Friday because shelters separated pets from their owners.
Why did you choose the car over a shelter?
Him.
Him.
He's my priority. I can't add more trauma to him.
And tonight, thousands of families still awaiting official word it is safe to return back home. Meanwhile, the district attorney announcing his office is now investigating the exact cause behind this crisis, Jarika.
Yeah, such a difficult situation. Jonathan Vigliotti, thank you. The head of the World Health Organization is set to arrive tomorrow in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the epicenter of the Ebola outbreak in Central Africa. More than 900 suspected cases have been reported so far, along with at least 220 suspected deaths. There is no vaccine for this current strain of Ebola. Several treatment facilities have been attacked and burned in recent days after health officials refused to turn over the highly infectious remains of patients to family members. Now to that security scare at the White House on Saturday. A 21-year-old gunman known for past incidents there opening fire at a checkpoint and killed in a shootout, all while President Trump was inside. The administration now renewing its calls for additional security measures for the new White House ballroom. Here's Homeland Security and Justice correspondent Nicole Skenga.
Saturday night shooting near the White House has security officials concerned ahead of the country's 250th birthday celebration this summer, when more than 1 million people are expected to visit D.C. It's the third major security incident involving the Secret Service in a month. Officers also returned fire against a Texas man near the Washington Monument and against an alleged gunman at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
For possible shooting at 17th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest.
Gunshots rang out just after 6 p.m. Saturday as journalists took cover. Police say the gunman, 21-year-old Nasir Best, fired several shots toward the Secret Service booth with a revolver he pulled from his messenger bag before officers fired over a dozen rounds back. He was declared dead at a nearby hospital. Court records show the suspect allegedly previously blocked a White House entry lane last June. He was sent for a mental health evaluation, but again tried to enter the property just 2 weeks later, telling agents he was Jesus Christ. He was arrested and a judge ordered him to stay away from the White House grounds.
It's really more common than folks would believe.
A.T. Smith is the former deputy director of the U.S. Secret Service.
Just how dangerous is a security checkpoint?
Security checkpoint can be very dangerous if you have an individual approach it who is armed and who means to do damage.
A male bystander was also shot and remains hospitalized in serious but stable condition.
In a bid to lift an injunction against the White House ballroom, acting Attorney General Todd Blanche called Saturday's shooting, quote, another assassination attempt against the president in court documents, arguing that the ballroom is a safe haven that will be complete with a drone-proof roof and blast-proof windows. Jerika.
Nicole Skanga in Washington, D.C. for us. Thank you. Millions of Americans returning home tonight from the holiday weekend are paying stubbornly high gas prices, still the highest we've seen in 4 years. The same goes for airline prices. Our Skylar Henry spoke with travelers today at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport.
The Memorial Day travel rush is on as millions of drivers are hitting the road after a record-breaking holiday travel weekend. According to AAA, 39.1 million people opted to drive, despite gas costing on average more than $4 a gallon across the country.
I'm filling up the tank again and kind of gritting my teeth to see what this number will be. Almost $75.
The nation's airports are packing them in too. TSA is expecting to screen more than 18 million travelers this long holiday weekend. Today at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, Albert Slack is hoping to avoid delays as he heads home to South Carolina. He says coming here wasn't fun.
The aircraft was an hour and a half late.
While higher prices didn't pause many holiday plans, stormy weather did. 4 days of relentless rain in the south caused major road flooding.
Yeah, give me the baby.
Police body camera video shows a daring rescue as a Beeville, Texas police officer saved a baby from a car submerged in rapid floodwaters in southern Texas on Saturday. The driver had no time to turn around after intense rainfall quickly swelled a low water crossing.
I got the baby out.
But morning showers didn't put a damper on beachgoers at New York's Far Rockaway Beach. We met Shannon, who came out to spend the day with friends.
It's almost better that it's a little overcast because there aren't thousands of people. It's actually the sun's been peeking out and we've been able to watch people surfing.
Here at Hartsfield-Jackson, there was a brief ground stop because of the severe thunderstorms rolling through this area. There have been more than 600 delays because of the wet weather all throughout the day today. Some of the travelers that we spoke with, Jerika, say they are fully aware of the weather impacting how long it might take for them to get home.
Absolutely. Skylar Henry, thank you. Let's check in with what's going on in our nation when it comes to weather. Meteorologist Rob Marciano is tracking it all for us tonight. Good evening, Rob.
Hey, Jerika. Yeah, this weather hasn't just become an inconvenience for travelers. It's really become downright dangerous across parts of the South. We have had one fatality in southern Mississippi. That's Petal County, which is under a flash flood emergency right now. Tarrant County in Texas, you're on a flood warning as well. And we've had a tornado warning in Pensacola, one spotted there. Now that's treading down I-10. There you see the watches. They're up for right through at least tomorrow morning. And you can see the tropical moisture is going to stay in place, especially south of that front through tomorrow, pretty much that pattern holds through the end of the weekend. Unfortunately, up to 6 more inches of rainfall coming. Traveling tomorrow and through the next couple of days, it will be pretty quiet across the Northeast, warm across the midsection of the country, but that sore spot continues to be the South. Jerika?
Rob Marciano, thank you. Still ahead, killer robots are no longer exclusive to Hollywood. What our team saw during an American military training exercise. A natural wonder, the astonishing scene caught on the live stream of an erupting volcano. And touching tributes from across the country this Memorial Day. At At the Vatican today, Pope Leo entered into the debate over artificial intelligence. He warned weapons developed by AI risk leading the world to never-ending war, adding the systems have advanced, quote, practically beyond any human reach to govern them. A CBS News team recently observed a U.S. military training exercise where AI played a large role. Here's foreign correspondent Chris Livesay.
Killer robots powered by artificial intelligence, helping commanders decide what to strike and when, here at the largest U.S.-led war games in Africa.
Now, this may look like a traditional operation, but what you don't see, at least not with first glance, is that this entire operation is being shaped in real time by AI.
200 miles away, that invisible war is being fought here, inside this Joint Operations Command in Agadir, Morocco, where AI processes battlefield intelligence in real time. The Pentagon insists humans remain in the loop when it comes to taking a life.
We're learning how
Lieutenant Colonel Ramon Leon Guerrero suggested otherwise.
There is systems out there that are autonomous, completely autonomous.
And they'll engage without the human in the loop?
Yes, that is correct. I mean, it could be lethal or non-lethal, yeah.
General Dagvin Anderson, head of U.S. Africa Command, told us much of the military's defensive systems are already automated.
Sometimes the line between defense and offense can get a little blurry.
As always.
So what price are you willing to pay to have a human in the loop?
I don't know that that's so I guess that depends on the situation, doesn't it?
Lethal technology advancing at lightning speed, faster, many fear, than the rules of war. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Tantan, Morocco.
Up next, Lionel Messi leaves a soccer match injured. What it means for the World Cup. Well, just weeks before soccer's World Cup, the sport's most recognizable player, Lionel Messi, took himself out of Sunday's Inter Miami match with an apparent leg injury to his left leg. Messi is scheduled to join his home country, Argentina, for World Cup training camp next Monday. No word yet if the possible injury could affect that. This Memorial Day, we remember two of our own. 20 years ago, a car bomb in Iraq took the lives of cameraman Paul Douglas and soundman James Brolin. They were filming while embedded with the U.S. military in Baghdad. This week, our Charlie D'Agata paid tribute to their sacrifice, hiking to a mountaintop veterans memorial in New York's Hudson Valley. He then added rocks painted with James and Paul's names to the towering monument. It's also worth noting correspondent Kimberly Dozier was severely injured in that attack. Coming up, a special tribute to America's fallen service members. And finally, this Memorial Day, we take a moment to remember the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. In celebrations throughout the country today, communities paused to honor the lives of fallen U.S. service members.
God bless America.
The holiday was formalized in 1868 in the wake of the American Civil War. According to the Department of Veterans Affairs, one early Memorial Day occurred in Boalsburg, Pennsylvania, where a trio of women decorated the graves of fallen soldiers back in 1864.
Center, drift.
Just 2 weeks before the 250th anniversary of America's independence, military members were honored in large ceremonies and local parades.
It helps show that everyone cares about our veterans and those who unfortunately have passed away.
Boy Scout troop leader Fred McClung honored more than 1,600 veterans, part of an annual tradition in West Virginia, placing flags on the graves of every veteran at this local cemetery.
It's very nice to do this with my son. It's actually nice just to read some of the dates on the headstones and where these men and women served, and to do them honor by placing a flag on their graves. So hopefully we can remember our brothers and sisters in arms.
Can't say it enough. May we never forget. Well, that is the CBS Evening News for this Memorial Day. I'm Jerika Duncan. Tony DeCopa will be right back here tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.